YouTube. How is everybody doing? Hope you guys had a great weekend, long weekend included. I don't apologize about not putting a video up yesterday. Yesterday was Daytona race, and my hubby and I are very much into NASCAR racing, so I did work on my project for my Sunday project. And I just didn't record it, so I'm going to do a 2-in-1 today for you, just because today's project, I didn't do much on it. So yesterday's project would have been from my Head Into Winter Knits book that I know you guys have seen many times now, and the cover is starting to get a little worn, so you can tell it's getting lots of love. And the project I'm currently working on is the graphic snood, or in my opinion, an infinity scarf. Same idea. There is the pattern or the design from the book. Multiple colors. There's 6 colors in total. I do like the 6-color block work. Now, have you been following my channel for a while? You know my opinion on it while working on it. Don't like it so much. Way too many ends to sew in. 2 of my pastel colors were so much alike, and I happen to have them in the spots right beside each other or on top of each other, and you really couldn't tell the difference, and I scratched it. I'm glad I only had 1 round of repeats done, which was like 9 color change sections. I don't even know how many rows it was. I should be able to tell by the graph. 6, 12, 18, 20, 4, 8. It was 40 rows. And there are only, I don't remember how many wide, but it's like, I only had 1 section plus a little bit, and that little bit I was able to rip back out. And I decided I was going to do it just in 2 colors. It was just way too many ends to sew in. The back of it where you carry your floats looked terrible, and I find sewing in ends on knitting for me is harder than crocheting. Crocheting is so much easier to hide where you're sewing it in. You don't notice it as much, whereas knitting you really do. So I did switch it, like I said, to 2 colors. Now, where the brown stitch marker is in the center is where it was last week when I showed it to you guys. Where the little shiny dolphin is the end of the 2nd repeat. So yes, I do have 2 sets done. So here's my dolphin here. Here's the stitch marker for where I was last week. And it's coming along pretty good. Like I said, I've gotten 2 repeats already done. By the measurements, because it calls to be 56 inches long, when I had finished the 1st repeat, I measured it and then kept remeasuring it and going further and further down my measuring tape. I think I either got to do 8.5 or 9.5 repeats to get it to the length. So if it's 8.5, I'll do 9. If it's 9.5, I'll do 10. Or what my yarn allows me to do. Again, here's what the back looks like, and it looks so much nicer with just the 2 colors. So much better with the floats. Now, as you can see, there's no floats on this side. Like over here, none whatsoever. And that's just because you always change on a knit row when you change color, so there are a few floats along this edge. But it's going to be nice and warm and thick. Now, as you can see, I have also changed the needles they are on. They're the same size needles, but I put them on my new needles, my interchangeables that my husband bought me, paid for me to get through Amazon. So, my interchangeable needles. And this one's got a shorter cable. I can also say, because the cables are braided, you can actually see it and feel it, but it doesn't interfere with the work. The needles I did have these on were just a standard circular needles, and it's just a plastic cord. I don't like plastic cords because they get bent out of shape and they, for some reason, hold that shape. And this way it's much shorter. I don't feel like I'm fiddling with the cable part. And this is just perfect length. I can use it. And then, of course, my new stoppers that my husband also paid for me to get from Amazon. So yes, I am using my Christmas gift. I like these stoppers. They're like a hard rubber, but I do like them, and they're kind of neat. And I almost feel like I'm playing like the ones that drumsticks that have the rubber stoppers on them. But yeah, so that's as far as I got on this project. I will move my progress marker up. So I figure if I've got 2 done and if it's 10, so I'm 20% done. It's got a long ways to go if you look at it that way. So it's a common. Now, if you're new to my channel and you're curious about the book I'm working out of, I have a pull up on my post page. So if you click down below on my name, it will take you to my about page, and you'll find all my videos, all my shorts, all my lives, all my playlists, and then at the far right hand side, it will be post. You click on the post, it will take you to another page. It's only got, I believe, 5 posts on it. One of them is a poll for this book for the next 3 items that are up and live to vote on right now, and will be staying live until this project gets done. The day I show this project finished, which will be on a Saturday or Sunday at some point, I don't know when, I will then tell you which project won, for the next project out of this book. If you want to just help me out, I do hopefully at some point finishing this book and make every single project in it. I also, once I put the polls up live and I tell you guys there's a new poll up, I don't go checking it at all. So it's a total surprise to me as to which project gets voted on the most. And that's how I pick, is whatever one wins the most. Or you'll have to, if you want to find out how I do it, because there's different stipulations as to if, really which project gets picked, or if I got to put up a new poll. But if you go back to when I announced this project, all the instructions are there as to how I do it. It's just something I do for fun. And then I also have another book up on my about page, or my post, sorry, that is for cuddly critters that I'm crocheting, and do plan on making everything out of that book as well. Not as many patterns are in this book, but it's fun. I like doing it. Now, I gotta give credit where credit is due. The voting on patterns out of a book was not my idea. Erin over at Crafting Kitty does a similar thing on her channel called Fridays with Fred. Now, she runs her poll a little different than I do, but I kind of stole it from Erin. I don't even know if Erin's aware I stole it from her, but I liked it and I went with it twice. So that's the one project I am currently working on. Is that I did a nice little amount, not a whole lot, but while I had the race on and stuff like that, and cooking dinner and whatever, I got some progress done. I just want to put everything away so I don't lose anything. My poor graph drawing is in rough shape, but it hopefully will make it through to the end. So there's that project. Now, Monday's project. On Mondays, I like to show, well, right now it's just mandalas I'm doing, but I'm hoping at some point to do a Mosaic Monday project. I watched a how-to video recently on how to do mosaics, and I really like it, so I'm hoping at some point to do a mosaic blanket. Right now, I do not have the supplies for it. So right now I'm working on my second mandala blanket. The last one I made was in pinks and grays. It was Yarn Bee yarn. Let me pull my book out and I give you a little more detail on the yarn. Mondays. Okay, so it's Yarn Bee Feeling Gradient yarn I'm using. The colorway that this current one is Denim Days, which I really like it. Love all the different shades of blue. It's worked out really nice in this pattern. The yarn is 77% acrylic. Oh, sorry. The yarn for the snood is just Burnett Value yarn, both colors. There's a lilac and a white, which they're 100% acrylic, and I'm using a 5 knitting needle for those. For this mandala project, it's like I said, 77% acrylic, 23% polyamide. It calls for 4.5 hook or knitting needles or US 7. I am using a 3.5, and I'm finding the stitch definition, it's still like, soft and wavy, and it's not stiff and tight. So 3.5 for me works fine. The cake is a 5.3 ounce, 150 grams, 540 meters, or 590 yards. Now, the pattern I'm using is technically called a textured blanket, but in my opinion, it's still a mandala, and it's from Mikey over the Crochet Crowd. And I've done one round. My stitch marker again, it's one of those brown bead type ones. And I've done one round, which had bobbles. And I just did that within the last half an hour or so. I did not give it much love today at all. I don't know why. Oh, I do know why. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I've done one round. I'm hoping to get a few more rounds on it tonight. But we'll see what happens. I may actually pull out tomorrow's project and try to get a little head start on it. And again, like I said, I really do like, I had to trim off a strand of yarn. I really do like it. Now, as you guys know, I've mentioned this in past videos, but for those who are new, yarn control needs to come in effect. When making yarn, the colors change. Like literally, it is so abrupt right here. It totally skipped, I would say, 1, maybe even 2 shades of blue from where they had this blue, where they just started changing to the next shade, and then all of a sudden abruptly go into this dark shade. I really, 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 like, I don't mind tie-ons if it's got to be there, but try to match the colors up maybe a little better. That is one of my pet peeves, and I know you guys have heard me say it in the past, or especially when all of a sudden they tie on a new color and the colorway starts going the other direction. That's even worse. At least with this, like had they gone maybe to a lighter color again, I could have cut that small section out to get me to this blue. But that's abrupt, how much difference the color is. And I really, really, really wish manufacturers would pay a little more attention to their yarn changing color yarn. But I understand, they've got to go. They've got to have so much made in, time frame, so on and so forth. So I understand that. And that's kind of why they just grab whatever and throw it on. They don't pay attention. Like I said, I wish they did, but, I don't work for the yarn company, so I can't, fix that issue. So anyways, why I feel I have not done much today. Little health information about me that you guys may not know. Well, actually, you guys would not know. I've never mentioned it. If you don't want to hear it, thanks for stopping by. If you're new and you like what you saw and would like to see more of what I'm working on, please consider hitting the subscribe button and turning on all the bells and notifications. I try to put up a video daily. That's kind of, my goals for this year, even if they're just shorter videos. And hey, maybe consider giving me thumbs, share me out. I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, now to the health thing. My oldest son, I had him late 1996. Come summer of 1999. This is before my husband and I got together. I all of a sudden started going jaundice really bad. The first night, I kind of noticed it, didn't pay attention to it. Went out clubbing for the night because my son was at his dad's for the week, or a friend of mine was watching him. And then the next night, I got invited to a different party. This friend of mine, she had, at the time had no kids, so she adored having my son. I was getting ready to go out the second night, and I kind of noticed, yeah, I'm a little odd, but I was young. I didn't really care. I wanted to go and have fun, and I did. By Monday, Sunday, I kind of noticed it. Again, I shrugged it off. By Monday, I really started to notice I was going jaundice, and I thought, this is not good. Not good, not good. Something's obviously wrong. Like, I'm really noticing it. So my family physician I had at the time, he do evening walk-in appointments or walk-in clinic 2 nights a week. Monday happened to be one of them. I got a hold of another friend of mine. He took me up to said doctor's office. And when you get there, you sign your name on the sheet. And first come, first serve. They start in room 1, work all the way back to room 5. And then as each room comes available, the next patient goes in that room. I was put into room 4. My doctor at the time was in room 5. My door was open to my exam room. He walked by my room and turned around and came right back into my room. And he literally looked at me and he goes, "What is going on with you?" I'm like, "You're the doctor. You tell me." So I got admitted to he asked because, he was actually my ex's doctor and my little guy's doctor at the time. Because I got the doctor through my ex's family and stuff because they all dealt with him. And he knew my ex and I were separated and we had joint custody and so on. So he asked who's got my son right now. And I said, I do till tomorrow. You get picked up at this time. He goes, good. You're going to have a hospital bed waiting for you the moment your son goes to his dad's. And I said, okay, that's not good. So once I got discharged, seen by the doctor and sent out and stuff, I contacted my ex right away and I said, look, tomorrow you need to be here on time. If not, earlier would be preferred. And he's like, what's going on? Because at this time we were not really on talking terms. I'm like, I am jaundice. I'm being admitted to the hospital the moment you pick our son up. And I don't know how long I'm going to be in there for because I don't know what's going on. They're going to run a bunch of tests. They're going to keep me for a few days. Hopefully I'll be out before our son's due to come home back to me because it was week to week at the time because our son was not in school yet. And we lived in 2 different parts of the city. And still going through the court crap and all that fun stuff. So he was actually early by a few minutes, picked up our son. I had my bag in my hand. He's trying to talk to me. And I'm like, I've got to go. Kissed our son goodbye, said, Mom will see you soon. And I was gone. I was at the hospital, which only a block away before his father, my son's grandfather, his dad, and him got a chance to drive by me. That's how quickly I beelined it to the hospital. Well, I went to emerge like I was told to. They already had my bed. They called an orderly. They didn't take my vitals. Nothing. The minute they took my name, they pulled it up on the computer, and they're like, yep, okay, you're going up to room blah, 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 on ward blah, 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 in wing blah, 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 blah. I don't remember the details. They said that was back in 99. Well, I don't know if you guys have them in the States. We have them here. You know those yellow hard plastic containers that have the lids on them that a lot of companies and a lot of apartment buildings and stuff will put salt in? So I got admitted Tuesday. By Thursday evening, I could have literally sat butt naked on or in front of one of those boxes, and you would have known I was there. My eyes, my nails, even my hair, my gums. I was yellow head to toe. Head to toe. So anyways, they figured it out. I had gallstones, and I decided to pass one. You can't pass gallstones. You can pass kidney stones, not gallstones. Within trying to pass one, it got stuck in my liver. So then my liver was malfunctioning, and that's why I went yellow. So they went in through the throat down and removed those 3 stones I had. And they were a good size. And within testing throughout the few days I was there, ultrasound being on my gallbladder was one of the tests. That's how they found them. Determined I needed my gallbladder removed. So I said, okay, well, my son's coming home in a few days. can I postpone for about a month or so? Because like I've never had surgery other than root canals at that point in my life, and I was being a crybaby and I wanted my mommy, and I will truthfully admit it. I wanted my mom there for support and help me with my son if when I get out, my son's back in my care at the time. So they like we can reschedule it. Like my mom was there actually when they did the scope and everything. She showed up the day before, and like she lives 3 hours away from where I live at that time. She's a little closer now, but not by much. So, anyways, they asked my mom what time was good for her because of her work schedule. She told them when. They said, okay, we've got her booked. Blah 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 blah. Well, I ended up going for my surgery. Had to wait an extra 5 hours with nothing in my stomach, and by the time I was the only one in the waiting room, and every time I growled, the nurse at the desk would look up, and I'm like, well, if I was in and out by now, I could have had something to eat. My surgery was like 5 hours ago. Like, what the heck? I'm the only one here, and I'm starving. Kind of thing. I was mad. Finally, they got me in. They did my surgery and all that. I recovered well. I could have got released that day after surgery, but I purposely fell asleep a couple hours or about a half an hour before they were about to release me. Just again, I was scared. What if complications arise throughout the night? Yes, I'm only a block away from here, but I'd rather be already in the hospital. Like my nerves were still a little rattled. Got out the next day, fine, dandy. Now, if any of you guys ever have gallbladder issues and they tell you the gallbladder does nothing, call BS on them right away because the gallbladder is, yes, you can live without it, but it does have a functioning purpose. And what that functioning purpose is whenever you eat any fatty food, greasy food like ground beef, roast, ribs, ham, anything like that that's got a lot of fat on it, especially meat fat, that's your gallbladder. Your body needs so much of it, but your gallbladder takes in the rest of it that your body will not absorb and use. And the fat is what makes gallstones. As it's in your gallbladder clumps into little stones, and that's what makes gallstones. So yeah, if you could change the fatty eating meat-wise, I advise you do it. Second of all, since I've had my surgery, now that was back in summer of 99, we're now heading into spring of 2026. So you figure 27 years ago now, I had my gallbladder removed. Well, I'll be 27 this summer. So 26 and a half years ago. Certain foods I, over time, have not been able to eat. And it's getting worse and worse. So ground beef, I've got to make sure I try to buy the lean ground beef. If I don't, I got to drain it really well. I actually had bacon on my pizza a few weeks ago, and my stomach didn't like it too much. Like my bowels went crazy, my gut felt terrible. I burp, I get this rotten egg taste. I know it's TMI, but it's the truth. Ham, I love the ham, the boneless, or the ones with the bone in, and do it in my slow cooker. I can eat it, but when I slice it, I gotta slice off every little piece of fat that's on my piece of ham. Even when I buy the ham steakettes, the bigger ones, I've got to literally, once it's cooked, cut every single piece of fat off mine and just eat the meat. If I just eat the meat, I'm fine. Sausages, certain sausages, if they're very greasy, bother me. Well, last night we had ribs. And guess what? The ribs were a little fattier than I thought. My husband cooked them, not me. He did all the cooking yesterday for Daytona, which was really sweet of him. This morning, mid-morning, when I finally got up, my stomach has been in turmoils. And believe me, I haven't been sitting here as much as sitting elsewhere. So that's why not a whole lot of crocheting's gotten done. But yeah, if you've got gallbladder issues, this is the experience I had. I had no pain with mine. My one aunt who ended up having gallbladder problems, and my ex, actually, my older son's father, he ended up having his gallbladder removed as well. They were both in pain prior to it being diagnosed as their gallbladder. Me, had I not gone jaundiced because I tried passing a gallstone, I may still to this day not realize I had got gallstones. So yeah, that's why a whole lot of work has not been done on my project today. And yesterday, like I said, was Daytona. So I'm going to actually just leave it with just the one round done of the blanket. It's a filler project. As you guys know, I try to do certain projects a day. Mondays is my mandala, and at some point it will be mosaic. Those are a filler project. Tuesdays are a filler, but the current one I'm working on is time sensitive to be done before the end of March, or hopefully done before the end of March. And Tuesdays my top Tuesdays. Wednesdays are my whips, which I will have a whip for you guys Wednesday, and Wednesdays and Fridays projects are for make-alongs I'm participating in that month. And I do have a new whip. I'm going to be making another donut, and this one's going to be a fish. What colors? I haven't drawn those out of my bin yet. I think I'm not going to try and make it match the pattern, really. The dog I just made matches the pattern pretty good. And unfortunately, the book, the story is a piranha. Well, I don't have a picture of a piranha donut, but the hostess said we could do any fish. And I do have a fish in my story, or my donut book that I just picked up early last month for my yarn therapy to make me feel better from the cold I was getting over. So I'll have the whip of it started Wednesday. Hopefully I won't go and finish it on one day like I did with the doggy one I just made. Thursday is my amigurumi book that I talked about that you guys vote for. And hopefully I'll get a few more. Hopefully I'll get the rest of the stuff for the head to be attached and get that made, and then get working more on the body again. And then I just have the body and the wings to make. And hopefully in the next few weeks that will be done. Friday will be an FO project, which I do have one for you guys. Possibly you will have two. Saturdays is usually a filler project, which is Saturday socks. Although the socks I'm currently working on are also for next month's make along I participate in, along with the other project, the top. I don't think which project it was. So yeah, those two projects are time sensitive, but I still have another 6 weeks roughly for they gotta really be made. So I'm all good there. So busy. Like I said, like most of my projects are filler projects, except for the beginning of the month. I usually have a little more whips and FOs for you guys on Wednesdays and Fridays due to the make-alongs I participate in. And I do participate in usually about 4 or 5 different ones a month. So hopefully my stomach issues today will subside at some point today, and I can get back in the groove of things. Anyways, guys, I have definitely kept you way longer than I intended to. I am so sorry about that. Have a great evening. And I will be back tomorrow, hopefully with a top update for you guys, because last week's top video, if you want to go back and watch it, if you have not seen it yet, I was telling you I was going to rip out the body section because, yeah, it was too many stitches. And until I got like 4 or 5 rounds into it, I didn't realize it was more wavy than I wanted. Tried it on and thought, nope, too many, it's gotta go kind of thing. So I deleted out a bunch of stitches, and I'm just barely started doing the body again. So we'll see what I get to. Anyways, guys, thank you for stopping by. I will talk to you all later. Have a good night.